Greetings and hello, Chris here from WebRadar, and today we are going to look at post archives with Brizy. As you can see, I did some homework already because I didn't want to bore you. I created already several blog posts, altogether 20. So let's have a look how our WordPress configuration just looks. So we have 20 blog posts, 2 categories, category 2 and category 1, and we have several tags. And now let's jump in and what you can do to show your archives. There are 2 different ways how you can do it. Way number 1, for example, if you want to have a special section on your homepage. I already created a homepage, so let's jump into editing it with Brizy. Today we will work directly in Blocksy. So I'm creating here a new blog. In this new blog, let's add a row. I just need one of you. And so let's give it a border, for example, this dark blue and a shadow. So we have an optical container, so to say, and now here we can add the post element. It's called posts. Just drag and drop, and there we are. In the post element you have several options. For example, let's jump into them. You can say how many posts you want to show. Preset is up to 6. Let's see if we can add more. No, it stays by 6. So you can have 6 in a row, and you can decide how many rows you want to show. I'm currently having 10 blog posts for each category. So, for example, let's add columns 5, rows 2. So these would show all my current postings in this category. Talking of categories, let's jump to the filter section. Here you can see we can now choose I want to show just category 1 or category 2. Currently, you only can show one category with the post element. So if you want to show all your posts, you have to make a little workaround and have your posts into the specific category where you want to have them and create a third category. In this case, it would be uncategorized, where you have all your posts in. So Brizy currently isn't able to just show or that you're able to pick the categories you want to show. So I'm leaving this one at category 1. I want them filtered by ID, means the ID you have in WordPress, meaning depending on how you have your order, that always the newest is on top, for example. But that's not necessarily the true thing. For example, if you change something or deleted a blog post, then the filtering by ID can get mixed up. Title is, well, depending on the first letter of the title, so you have all the A's coming at top and all the Z's coming at last. Date is my personal choice, because date means it always shows the latest one in this order currently on top. So the latest blog post is already blog post number 1. And a date means creation date, not modification date. Random, well, you'd have it just shows on every loading time something different. And last but not least, we have comment count. So your most liked blog posts will always show on number 1. So I leave this one for date. And here in the post section, I'm going down to row 1. And I just want to show, well, let's say 3. Okay. What else do we have? We have also the navigation. Yeah. There. Navigation means we can show a pagination. Right now, people just could read my latest 3 blog posts. If I want to enable them to read them all, I can turn this one here on. And now you see on the bottom we have our pagination. And in the filter section, we also have the tag filter. There you see it up there. This is just a preview. So once you hit update, on the front page you see your tags, and people can then choose, okay, I want only to show, well, what have we here? I want only to see, for example, all posts related to Predator. Then they can click here on the Predator, and this element only will show them all posts with the tag element Predator. So with help of these tags, you are able to create a sub-navigation within the post element, so to say. What else you can do is you can configure the post element as usual. For example, let's add here also a border, change the size. And as you can see, this is a dynamic element, so if I'm only changing one of these, all others get changed as well. So let's add a shadow. And last but not least, more settings. And give 5 pixels as margin. So now we have individual postcards. And, well, you can play around however you like. For example, let's add a row in here. I only need one of you. And let's change here also the border and the shadow to match the rest of our design we created so far. And here now in the more settings, let's change the padding to 0. There we go. Go here to our image, make sure we have padding 0 and margin 0. And now let's drag this one here in. And now you have a nice border around your image. So let's update. And let's have a look. So this is the basic look as Bloxy has it by default. No. View. Okay. I haven't changed the shortcodes. Okay, now you can see this is how this element would look with our blog posts dynamically loaded. So let's change my permalink settings so I can reach my pages by typing the name. Much better. Okay, so this now was the post element you can use on any site you want. So let's turn off tags. Okay, another element you can use to recreate something like this for the home page. I'm going to duplicate this one and let's delete this here. Would be the carousel. So let's have a look here. Carousel. Put this one in. And well, let's fix our design. So we change the border, we change the shadow, and as you can see, it only changes one, because this now is the carousel, and you can use the carousel to whatever you want. So if we want to show here our dynamic content in the carousel, what we have to do is to turn on dynamic content. There, now you see my changes are gone, and I have the same filter elements as we had before. So let's choose category 2 this time, and I want them to ordered by date, and I want my latest dates on top. So now if I'm going to change the look of this one here, for example, let's add a border again. Now you see all my elements are changing. Okay, border and shadow, and adding a margin of 5 pixels, so we have our nice cards here. To completely mimic the look from down below, also let's add a row. So as you can see, you can edit this element however you like. It all just works. So turn here the padding and the margin down to 0. Grabbing the image element, also making sure everything here is set to 0. And then let's drag this one here in. Okay, so now we have here our same look as we have with the post element down below, but people now can scroll through all your posts. Talking of all your posts, we also here have the option to change the columns. So let's, for example, show here 5. Now you see that we are limited. So we just have 4 columns currently, but in the carousel I set it to 5. So to really show here now 5 elements, I have to duplicate this last one. So now we have 5. And if you want to show more, for example, let's say you want to show 10, we are now at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So with the carousel element, you have to first by hand create the amount of cards, of postcards you want to show. And up here in the settings, you just say how many of these postcards you want to show in the slider. So this is a very important difference to my post element. My post element automatically shows them all, but I can just change how many of them I want to be able to see here. And if I turn down the pagination, I have limited this element to just show my latest 3 posts. Here in the carousel element, you have manually to duplicate your postcard as many times how many blog posts you want to show. And in the settings, you just choose how many of these posts actually are seen in one slide. So same you have with the navigation. You can choose how your arrows will look and how your dots will look. So that's that there. The dynamic content we already had. So let's update and have a look. There we go. So this is our carousel, and this is the block element. So now you notice we just show the blank image here because I forgot to set this one to featured image. There we go. Let's update. Refresh this page. And there we are. Now you see we have here our preview images. Same goes here. We have the basic text, the preview text. Let's remove this one. And there we want to have our preview and the post title. You can now also design it. So let's make this one, yeah, heading 2 is okay, but turn down the size a little bit. As you can see, it currently is a little bit slower because now it has to render all my elements. So let's turn this one down to 25. And I want it centered. Update. And as you currently can see here, everything has the same text. So let's update. And there, now you see I have all my titles, and also the texts are the correct ones. But now they look a little bit stressed with a small form factor. And last but not least, what you have to do if you want to work with the carousel is you have to change the link of the button to post URL. And now let's update one more time. Now if people click here, they get to your blog post. So now you have seen what you can do with a post element, and you have seen what you can do with the carousel. Both are fitting if you want to work outside of the normal blog archive. So, but archives are one thing many of you requested. So the next thing we want to have a look at is the blog archive. So first of all, I'm going to create a page, and I'll call this page now blog, not black, blog. Publish, and let's add it in the settings. I want to have my home page as the home and the blog page as the blog. Summary is okay, so let's change these to 12. Done. You don't have to do this. This is just me being a SEO. Okay, now we want, let's jump up here. Open blog. And as you can see, because we changed the blog to be the actual blog element, we now see the basic how Blocksy shows our blog archive. Okay, and now we want to change that. So to do this, I'm jumping into the Brizy template section, and I'm creating a new template, and I call this one blog archive. You can name it however you want. The name doesn't matter at all. What's important is down here. So let's change this one to archive, and we want to include categories all, tags all. No, we want this one to be the blog post page. There we go. Hit add. It's important. You have to have this delete button there. If you don't see this delete button, it won't work. And now let's publish this thing. Okay, so now we have created the template, and we configured where we want to show it. Now we have to build it. So let's jump into it with Brizy and turn on the default, because we want to work with Blocksy today. And now here, let's start with a block. And there, for example, let's add a text element. They call with this one here my amazing blog. So let's make this one heading 1, center it. Okay, and now you might already have guessed it, that we have here something new. It's called archives. The archives element is an exclusive element you only find when you edit an archive. So to say, when you edit a template and you have set this template to archive. If you don't do this, you won't see this element. And now let's drag it in. And as you can see, the element looks pretty much the same like the posts element we had before. With one difference, you now have here a WordPress logo for the archive thing, but the rest more or less is the same. So we can now choose how many elements we want to show. For example, let's go up to 5, and I want to show 3 rows. No, 3. There we go. So all in all, I would show now 15 blog posts on my archive. Please don't do this. This is way too much. You would overwhelm your visitors, and you have the problem on a mobile you would have scroll endlessly to get to the navigation. But just for the giggles, let's do this like that. Okay, one huge difference you will notice to the posts element. Here we have no way to choose if we want to show a pagination or not. The pagination will always show because this is an archive element, and the idea of the archive is to show everything. Same way goes with, you have no filter options, so no way to filter out what elements you are going to show. If you want to filter something different, you have to do this here in the template section. So if we go to edit template, here you can see, for example, we have categories, and now I'm choosing category 1. So now only my blog posts from this specific category would get this look for the archive. This is the reason why you don't have a navigation or a filter system in the archive element, because if you want to filter out, you have to do this here on the root page of your template. Okay, back to the template itself. Here we go. This now is the basic things, so to say. Let's update this one. Here we currently have the version, the default version of Blocksy, and now let's hit F5. And there you go. This is your blog archive, and as you can see, I can choose between page 1 and page 2, and here on my page 2 I'm only seeing my last 5 posts. So here to, as you can see, here we see all of my blog posts. But this currently right now looks a little bit horrible. So let's jump in and start editing a little bit. Give it our form we created before. So I'm going to add my border to create so-called block cards. There we go. This already looks much better. Let's make the same thing with the images again. So here, change all settings to 0. Add the border. Add the shadow. Click on an image. Also change everything here to 0. And as you can see, just to close the settings thing, I'm jumping between all these elements because these are dynamic elements, so no matter which of them I'm going to change, everything will follow. Okay. Things you also have in the archive element. Here in the WordPress section, For example, we have the option to show the post info. So let's add this one here. And here you can choose which elements you want to show. For example, let's delete the comments. Now you see, if I'm going to add this here, I'm clicking inside this container, and there I have my comments again and can reactivate them. But I don't want to show the comments, and I don't want to show the time. So people now see who created the blog post and when was the date when it went live. So let's have another look. We also have here, for example, the breadcrumbs and post title, shortcut, sidebar. There was one thing I was thinking about to show, but seems I forgot about it. Great, maybe I remember later. Okay, so here now let's go down to, let's say 3, for example, and that way we show 9 blog posts for each page. So let's have a look how this updated version looks, and there we go. Okay, pretty nice so far. Ah, yes, I remember what I wanted to show. Here you have these fixed elements. But if you want to show a little bit different, you have to work with the text element. Delete all text and hit the hashtag icon. And here you can see, for example, categories. So let's center this one. Update. Let's have a look. There you go. Now you see we are showing what category the post comes from. And it also created this one as a link. So there are some elements you can show by dragging and dropping elements onto your page, but if you want to go more into the detail, you have to work with the text element and use hashtags. So if you want to see what's all possible, just put a text element in, delete all text, hit a hashtag, and now you can see these are all the informations we can scroll through. For example, here we have, here we have no option to change how, for example, the author looks. Now I can change how it is presented, but well, that's it. So let's kick also out the author, for example, and let's add a row. And here now I have my text element. I'm going to duplicate this one. Yeah, not that. So put this one here. I'm going here with author name. And in my second row, I want to show the author's website, for example, in case he has one. And on this thing here, let's add an image element. And here we are going to choose from the dynamic thing the author profile. No color filters. Yeah, well, the author profile. And let's make this one as round as possible. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, as you can see, I have currently no avatar here in this demo thing, but it shows my name and it shows my website. So these are additional things you can use in the archive element to give it a little more personal touch, depending on if you have, for example, if you're working on a magazine website where you have different authors. This might be an interesting thing to show already on the archive, so people know, for example, they have a writer they like, so you can show them how who created this blog post. What you can also do, for example, here let's edit the author name, and here we go to the links and click again the dynamic element. So let's add this one link to the author URL. And now if we update, if we click this one there, you get to the profile of the author, and there you see all his blog posts too. So this is another nice thing you can do. So you can tweak whatever you want in the way how you need it to be. So like everything else, if you click, for example, here the link element, you always find this dynamic icon, and there you can choose where you want to go, what you want to see, and so on. If you're working with this info element, there you see you have no link possibilities, so you're very limited with the element, what the element offers you. That is one of the reasons why I still personally prefer to work with the hashtags, because, for example, now we can also say, okay, the author name is a little bit more important, so let's make this one a little bit larger. There we go. These are all changes you can't do with this element. You can change the text, for example. Let's check this one, but that would change all the texts. So if we add here, for example, back the author in, you see I have no way to only change the text of the author, so you always change the whole element. The only way how you could create this, for example, we duplicate this one, and on the upper one let's turn off the date, and in the lower one let's turn off the author. And that way you can use different texts, fonts, change the look, so to say, but I don't think that this is a very elegant way to do it. So with using a text element with the hash tag element, I have much more control over how everything should look. So yeah, well, that's basically what you can do with the archives. You have all, of course, different options, for example, how to present everything. So this now is archive option 1. Let's duplicate this. There we go. Now we have here a second element, and how you can change, for example, the way how your archives look. Let's go here to only show one post each time, and yeah, well, let's stick with 3 rows. But what we want to do now is redesign the look of our element. So for example, I want to have my image here, and now text goes here, this element. Yeah, okay, now we're of course limited, because you only can add 2 row containers inside of each other. So if you want to show this, we have to no, well, let's start with the new one so I don't get confused. Okay, so archives, and there we go. This is the basic look. And now we want to add a row up here. I want to have my image there and my text here. And let's see if we now can add. Yeah, now that works. In this version down there, I had trouble to add another row because we use this row trick to create our border of the image. That's what I forgot. Okay, so now we have here our block, and let's duplicate this one and move it up here. There we go. The summary goes there. Okay, and now we change this one only to one row, one column, and for there 3 rows. Give it its individual look back so we know how our postcards would look. And there you go. So let's update and have a look. Now you see this is a different way to show your blog archive. I now have them all at once, and then we see our pagination, and below you have the more traditional way to present them. What's currently not possible in Brizy is that you change the looks of each line. So for example, you have now the image on the left hand side, and next thing you want to have it on the right hand side. That's currently not possible, but hopefully will come in the future. Also, what's coming in the future is that you can limit the elements. So for example, here we just show for example 2 like this, and then we jump into the traditional view, but here I can ignore the first 2 because they are shown in the other archive element. So that's music of the future, but it will come to Brizy 2. I hope this tutorial helps out how you can create your archives. And if you have questions, throw them down into the comment section. I will try to answer whatever you need. And if you want to work with this demo I created, if you're a member of the WebRadar community, you can download this whole thing as an installable WordPress installation, and then you can have a look directly on how I created things, how they look, and you can copy and paste everything over to your own elements. Okay, well, I hope that helps, and if it does, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. It's really helping out a lot. The channel still is very new, and a subscription would mean the world for me. So have fun creating your archives, and I'm going to catch you in the next one. Bye bye.